No More Room in Hell is a game about one thing above all else: patience. If you go into this game expecting something akin to the fast-paced gameplay of stuff like Nazi zombies or Left 4 Dead, you're gonna have a bad time. No More Room in Hell is a very slow-paced game. Movement is slow, reloading is slow, your stamina regeneration is slow, healing is painfully slow, and even most of the zombies are slow. This game takes a more realistic and Romero-esque approach to your typical zombie game formula. And to some, that might sound like a massive turnoff, but hey, stick around. Who knows, I might be able to get you to give this game a shot. No More Room in Hell is a co-op survival horror game that's been available on Steam for free since 2013. And by free, I mean it in the literal definition of the word. This game has no microtransactions, no cosmetic DLC, no map packs, no bloody loot boxes, nothing. Which is pretty crazy considering how much content this game has. No More Room in Hell has two vastly different game modes in offer: Waves and Objective. And because I'm honestly not that big a fan of Waves, we're gonna start this off by focusing on Objective first. Okay, so in Objective, your main goal is for you and up to 7 other players to get from point A to point B while doing whatever objectives are required for you to progress through the level. And in true survival horror fashion, you're given a very limited amount of firearms and ammo. A lot of the time, you'll have to resort to using melee weapons, which, on a side note, all feel great. They have a real weight to them, especially the heavier weapons like the pickaxe or my personal favorite, the Fubar Wrecking Bar. Like, the way zombies ragdoll after you hit him with it makes it feel so powerful.
Full health.
Anyways, as I was saying, even if you stick to using melee weapons, you still got to manage your stamina. It can run out surprisingly quick. Like, if you try to actually kill every single enemy you come across, you'll run out in no time. Same as your gun's ammo. You got to be real conservative about both. It's funny, me and my friends actually came up with a slogan/motto for this, which is only kill what you have to kill. Meaning any zombies blocking your immediate path and any of the more dangerous special zombies, like the soldiers, runners, crawlers, and controversially, kids. There's zombie kids in this game.
Oh shit, kid.
That was necessary. Okay, so history lesson. Back when No More Room in Hell first came out, there was understandably a pretty big controversy around this. Many saw the addition of zombie kids as being edgy, offensive, and in poor taste, and while I personally see their inclusion as being kind of unnecessary, I still think it's justified because of the game's direction. No More Room in Hell is obviously striving to be as realistic as possible. The way it handles its zombies and its exclusion of basic HUD features is a testament to that. Like, there's no crosshair, minimap, stamina meter, ammo counter, or even a bloody health bar. The only way to figure that sort of thing out is through more realistic ways. Like, for example, in order to find out how many bullets your gun has, your guy has to literally take out the magazine and have a look.
4 shots remaining.
So to me, it comes down to this. If this was a more arcadey type of game, like Killing Floor or Hatred, I'd definitely call the inclusion of zombie children as being tasteless and edgy for the sake of being edgy, but because of this game's commitment to realism, I can't in good faith say the same. Anyways, another really neat addition this game has is what the devs call a dynamic map. Essentially what that means is that each map has a couple different variations of itself each time you play. This includes smaller details like different items spawning in the starter area to more substantial changes like having to do alternate objectives or brand new paths opening up. For example, in Broadway, sometimes you'll have to go through a theater, but other times that part of the map will be completely sealed off, at which point you'll have to go through an apartment complex instead. I really like this system. It helps keep the maps fresh and is overall a really smart addition because you and your friends will probably have to replay each map quite a bit before you beat it. You'll die a lot in this game. Puta me mató. No More Room in Hell is actually one of the most punishing games I have ever played. A single slip up could lead to your death. Puta.
Puta.
Oh fuck, is they in? Zombies hit hard, and getting hit means that there's a possibility you could open a wound and slowly start bleeding to death, unless you find bandages or a med pack. But more importantly, if a zombie bites you, there's also a pretty good chance that you could get infected and eventually turn into a zombie. That'll then proceed to attack your former friends, which is pretty amazing. I mean, isn't it weird how in like 99% of zombie games, getting infected is never even a factor? Like, most games will either use the "your character is immune to the infection" meme, or they wouldn't even bother to acknowledge it. The fear of infection makes every encounter a million times more tense. It makes every single zombie a legitimate threat. And while yes, getting infected can be pretty frustrating at times, it does lead to a pretty cool and unique game mechanic. When infected, there's no way to actually cure yourself. The only thing you can do is delay the inevitable by finding pills. So essentially you'll want to move fast to keep finding pills, but if you move too fast, you'll get sloppy and end up dying anyways. It basically becomes a balancing act between wanting to rush through the level and being cautious. It's great, it's fun, I like it. However, I do have a few small gripes with it, unfortunately. Firstly, I'm not a fan of the fact that even if you have more than enough space for it, you can't carry more than one bottle at a time. Like, each bottle will keep you alive for roughly 2 to 3 minutes, so even if your friends are already carrying some extra bottles for you, you'll most likely still need some more pretty soon, especially in the bigger maps or if you got infected early into the match. A lot of the time, what I had to end up doing was manually dragging the extra pills with me, which is horribly time consuming and it's just really annoying. That being said though, I get why it's there. Like, I'm assuming the limit was added so you don't get some greedy jackass stockpiling all the pills for himself, but frankly, I just think this restriction makes more problems than it solves. Additionally, when someone's infected, you also have the option of killing him in cold blood. The justification being that maybe you don't have pills for him and don't want to deal with him turning into a zombie later, or maybe you just don't think he's worth the supplies. It's super messed up, but when this works as intended, it's fantastic. It adds a layer of moral ambiguity that's usually only reserved for more narrative-focused games. However, the problem here is that a lot of the time, this system only leads to players accidentally killing each other. Like, unfortunately, there's no visual indication to see when another player is infected, so unless the guy literally tells you, "Hey, I'm infected," you won't have a clue.
Oh.
Murder! Murder!
I killed someone! I can't go on! Anyways, graphically speaking, the game still looks pretty good. Its age does show in a few places, but it makes up for it by having a really great atmosphere. Like, I'd even go as far as calling it dreary. I really like the lighting in this game. If a room is dark, it'll be really dark. Like, unless you pull out a match or a flashlight, you won't see a thing. And I love that. It makes you play cautiously. If you just run into a room with no regards to your surroundings, you'll definitely get yourself killed.
Dude.
Oh my god. Teamwork and coordination is also paramount for your survival, and thankfully it's encouraged in a very natural way. Like, one of the things that always irked me about Left 4 Dead was that it required teamwork very artificially. Like, it wasn't really encouraged, it was just forced. But here, there's nothing really stopping you from lone wolfing the map if you really wanted to. This is not the type of game that's impossible to complete on your own, but having a couple teammates by your side makes things go a lot smoother. Assuming that they're confident, that is.
Frag out!
You know det puta för disaster. Oh no!
Oh my god! Run! For the most part, the community and player base in this game is pretty great, but sometimes you will get teammates who refuse to communicate and are so bad that they'll drag you down with them. They'll get you killed, and it can be really frustrating. To the point where, if you're planning on playing this game, I'd highly advise you to bring some friends along. Which leads us to one of the only big issues I have with this game, which is that, unfortunately, there's no easy way to host a server. Like, I've tried to follow guides on how to set this up, but as soon as they start talking about IP addresses, routers, or bloody hamachi, I just get lost. So in the end, my friends and I were forced to rely on the public servers instead. Now, the problem with that is that finding a decent server is actually harder than it sounds because a lot of them have custom plugins that modify the game. and frankly, I'm really not a fan. Sometimes you might get stuff that's easy to overlook, but a lot of the time you'll get things that objectively make the game worse. Such as these horribly buggy and inaccurate laser sights, command prompts that literally let you spawn in items, and worst of all, ads.
Hoy es un buen día para ganar una de las dos Mercedes-Benz GLE.
Alright, we'll give it one more try. No? Okay, we're done.
Bottom line is, finding a decent server can be a bit of a pain, but I'm sure you'll find one eventually. And when you do, just make sure you add it to your favorites, so you don't have to go digging every time you want to play. Aside from that, I should also warn you that this game has a fair share of minor technical issues.
12 rounds left. 12.
And that the hit detection can be a bit janky at times. Like, sometimes zombies are able to grab or hit you, even if it looks like you're a considerable distance away from them. This doesn't really happen that often, but when it does, yeah, it can be annoying.
Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck?
This game is definitely a bit rough around the edges, but frankly, I still love it. I've been playing this game on and off since 2014, and in that time, I've been able to experience firsthand how the game has evolved and improved over the years. Hell, at the time of this writing, a new update is slated to come out sometime this month, and the devs are also planning on adding workshop features in the near future, which sounds great. On top of that, a full-fledged sequel is also supposedly coming out this October, which I'm super hyped about, but regardless, to round things up, if you're able to overlook a few small issues here and there, I'm sure that you'll have a great time with this game, so get some friends together and give it a shot.
What did the dude just jump off?
No! No!
Dude, I let him
Ragtime zombie.
What the hell?
Oh no!